Hello guys, I'm here to introduce the speaker. So his name is Solomon Kim. He was actually one of our own until last year when he graduated with a Math Studies and Computer Science degree. Please welcome him with a round of applause.
Hello everybody. Am I allowed to take the mask off? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Awesome. So yeah, the talk today is just entitled "The Game of Recruitment: How You Can Win." And so this is a topic that I think a lot of us may have not gotten a lot of education for or towards, considering that the majority of managers goes towards pre-med or to research or things like this. And so I think that the topic of recruitment is fairly important for us to talk about here. So I'm going to go over a short introduction of myself, some of the possibilities that we can do with our math degrees, computer science, physics, really any of these degrees from Andrews specifically. How recruitment works for a lot of these large tech companies, some advantages and disadvantages of Andrews education specifically, how to optimize our current STEM curriculum and opportunities, resume building, and then finally some questions and answers. So just short introduction of myself. So like Vincent said, I graduated here in May, so I'm actually pretty quickly back. When I graduated, I went to work for Chevron as a machine learning engineer for about, 3 or 4 months. And then at that time, I went to go work for Google as a technical program manager for their core machine learning fleet. So running TPUs and doing resource management for machine learning specifically. So I guess for you guys, the biggest thing is what can you do with your math degree, right? Because the majority of us are math, or computer science, physics, maybe engineering. And I know one question that I had for myself and that some of my friends had coming out from Andrews specifically is what can we do, right? Because we don't see a whole ton of our alumni or people in our class necessarily going to work other than maybe graduate school most typically. Maybe work for Advent Health, right? For example, one of my friends, Nate Patterson, last year went to go work for Advent Health as a data scientist. Or a lot of us are pre-med, right? We combine math or computer science or physics or something with pre-med and then go to medical school. But what are the other possibilities out there, especially to somebody who comes from Andrews? Because I'm just going to be honest, Andrews is not a top 10 school, right? We're not Stanford, we're not U of M even. We're not at that top echelon of, I guess, name recognition. And so for us, it's kind of hard to find examples and people out there that we can look to when we're not in medicine or even law. So really what we're going to focus on today is corporate and industry opportunities. I don't know too much about research or academia, considering I just graduated, and I did not choose that path, or at least currently have not chosen that path for my career. So within the tech industry specifically, which is what we're going to be talking about today, there are essentially the big four. So these are 4 companies that you guys have all heard of: Facebook, Google, Amazon, and Apple. So these 4 are considered the top of the top when it comes to tech jobs, right? So if you work for any of these 4 companies, you by de facto can work for any other company, essentially. This is kind of like your Stanford ticket in to wherever you want to go after that. And so this is, I think, where a lot of us would want to be. Maybe not, everybody's different, but typically I think that this is an actually attainable goal for every single person in this room. Some other 4 types of companies or companies that are considered at a similar level essentially are Microsoft, which we all know, 2 Sigma, which is a machine learning based investment firm in New York, Palantir, which handles the majority of data science contracts for the US government, and then startups. There's a variety of different startups, and typically if you become a part of one of these startups, especially in tech, you also have a pretty good chance to have a launching off point for your career. So we're going to focus on basically these 8 categories or 8 companies and how we can get into them, right? I mean, the other ones is a fairly straightforward path, right? We take all our classes, we get our resume together, we submit our resume, and that's it. We get one interview, and then we go work for that company. For these companies, it's a little bit different, and I kind of want to get into their specific modes of recruitment and how we can optimize those strategies. Here are the types of jobs that I think would be most interesting to you guys, although there could be many others that wouldn't be. I ordered them in terms of starting salary. So this is the salary at the top. You can see $250,000. That's how much on average you'd make like when you graduate, so at 22. or 23. The top would be a quantitative researcher. These are people who work at places like 2 Sigma. They're people who generally will have PhDs or master's degrees, but it is possible to get in with just a bachelor's degree. Then machine learning engineer, software engineer, data scientist, research scientist, consult statistician, and data analyst. Now, at the heart of every single one of these jobs is math. It truly is. I mean, you see people at all of the big four working all of these jobs, and the majority of them have never had a computer science degree. A lot of them are math, stats, probability, or even data science majors. And there's a good chunk that didn't even do a technical major in college. They just like doing this type of work. And so this is kind of a chart, I guess, and I'm only bringing up money just to kind of show everybody what's out there, because I had to argue with my family and my parents to not become a doctor because of this argument when it comes to money specifically. So that's the only reason why I'm really stressing this. If you look at salary range charts for these types of jobs at Facebook and Google, you notice on the left, and they have years of experience here, right? So at 0.8 years, you start at around this $200,000 range, and then from there it grows fairly quickly. So you can see, if you stay with these same companies for quite a while, if you view more of them down here, you're generally going to land up in the $500,000 a year range, right? And this is something that I think a lot of, at least I, as an Adventist, grew up in the church my whole life and went to Andrews, I never knew this at all. Because none of my family was in tech, none of my family was in this world. They were all majority doctors and lawyers, which is typically what I see in our community. And so you don't really, I guess people don't really realize this, and especially our parents' generation don't necessarily realize this. It's kind of shielded from us, being that we're not typically engaged in this world. So anyways, let me close out of this. Get back.